I want to react to Wranglerstar's reaction to Oliver Anthony's song, Richmond North of Richmond. Why is this important? Why do I believe it's important? It may not be important, but I think truth matters. And I think it matters how we handle and talk about our fellow human beings. And I've made mistakes before. I've jumped the gun. I've done reactions to things and didn't have the full orbed view of what was actually going on. And I've spoken in ignorance. And also on the other side of it, while I see a lot of positives about this song, Richmond North of Richmond, I could be missing it. And I could be led down a wrong path. We know this is objective. You can see this, that there are social engineers, professional social engineers and psychological operators who admit that they're trying to control the masses. If you don't believe that, look at my last video that I did on where I read a quote from Edward Bernays from his book, Propaganda. By the way, in that video, I failed to mention that Edward Bernays is the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And we know that these people were working against, not for humanity. So when we have a popular YouTube influencer, wranglerstar, reacting seriously negatively to Oliver Anthony, is wranglerstar right? Is some of the things that he said right and some of the things that he said wrong? Is he speaking in ignorance? Is Oliver Anthony a genuine individual who organically grew out of nothing with no backing from anybody anywhere in mainstream media and our social engineers throwing their weight behind it, changing algorithms, making sure that he rises to the top for a nefarious purpose? Sure, it could be. We got to ask all these questions, and we can't not talk about things that people don't want us talking about. You know, popularity is an interesting thing, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So I just want to ask a couple questions before I play this. Could Oliver Anthony and his song be controlled opposition? Yes, it could. You can't say that it's not. You can't say that it definitively, unless you have proof, unless you have evidence. See, you can make all the accusations in the world, but accusation without substantiation is the height of ignorance. It could be controlled opposition. Could the message be destructive and negative and end with a negative result on humanity? Yes. Yeah, we could be missing it. Is it popular because it's resonating with the masses who've had their brains tenderized by incessant decades and decades of propaganda and public relations from mainstream media, or what I call governed media, because they work together, as of at least 1974 during the Church Committee, when it was revealed that all mainstream media, print and televised media back in the 70s was infiltrated by the CIA. So could this be something that has the blessing of intelligence agencies so that it can dumb us down further? And is it accepted by the sheeple masses because it is one of those psychological operations? Yeah, sure, it could be. It could be. There are psychological operators. There are social engineers. Could this be one of their operations? Yes. And one of the indicators on how you could tell it is one of their operations is because it's popular. But can we use that single metric alone to flush the entire song and Oliver Anthony down the toilet? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'll tell you why as we move along. But I know one thing. You should question everything. And to not question things is to remain gullible. And it's basically when somebody doesn't question something or somebody and just goes with the flow because everybody likes it or it resonates with you, and hey, that's where you're at in your life, and the only reason you chose to accept it is because you have been brainwashed by fake stream media. We got a problem. Basically what you're saying by not questioning it is, I'm going to remain in my ignorance. I'm not going to question things. I'm not going to ferret it out. I'm not going to find out what's actually going on here so I can make an intelligent decision, an intelligent, informed decision about what's going on in the direction that I should actually be taking in my life. So what I'm going to do is I've cut some clips here. And the first clip that I want to play, even though I'm not going to be dealing with Owen Benjamin, I do want to show you his perspective. And I did make this clip earlier today and I posted it on Instagram and I think I posted it on Facebook. and on Twitter. And I don't get a lot of traction on any of these social engineered social media platforms, but I want to play this for you because I think it's relevant. Because in one of these clips, I don't remember if it's this right here, but in one of these clips, Owen Benjamin actually says, hey, even Wranglerstar agrees with my assessment of Oliver Anthony's song. Here's what Owen Benjamin said.
It's not just a song. It's programming. It's pyramid programming, literally by the devil. Literally the devil.
That is his objective, from his perspective, objective conclusion. He's making a statement as though it were fact. He is saying that this song right here is not might be. He's saying it is pyramid programming. He's not saying it might be of the devil. He's saying it is of the devil. But then he says this.
I'm not saying that if you like this song, you're in Satan's legion. I promise I'm not.
So he's saying the song is of the devil and it is pyramid programming. But if you like the thing that's of the devil, you're not part of the Satanic Legion. Owen Benjamin, if you're watching this, that's kind of confusing. So somebody can listen to, like, entertain, and consent to, because basically what he's saying is singing along with is basically consent. It's a message from the pits of hell, from the nether regions. It's a message from the devil, and it is pyramid programming, and you can submit to it but not be part of the Satanic Legion. That's just confusing to me.
The soulless, dead-eyed ginger was singing a song about suicide called like God Let Me Go Home. But it's despair.
So he calls Oliver Anthony a soulless, dead-eyed ginger. Now, it doesn't matter. However you look at it, this is just a blatant ad hominem attack against the person himself. And the only reason, in my estimation, the only reason that you would or could do that is because you think so highly of yourself, you're so proud, you're so pompous, you're so haughty, that's how you view another human being that you don't know. How is that going to better our society? I don't understand that kind of angle of attack. I don't understand. Listen to what he says again. And he says this as though, hey, this is a dead-eyed, soulless ginger. He has no soul. Wranglerstar, by the way, attacks the popularity and questions the popularity of Oliver Anthony and Richmond, north of Richmond, while he is hyper popular himself. As a matter of fact, Wranglerstar was infinitely more popular than Oliver Anthony just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Does that mean Oliver Anthony could have made a YouTube video saying, hey, because Wranglerstar is popular, he is controlled opposition? We're going to touch on that too. I have a whole lot of questions.
The soulless, dead-eyed ginger was singing a song about suicide called like God Let Me Go Home. But it's despair.
So if you ask Owen Benjamin, hey, what do you think about Oliver Anthony? He would say, oh, he's a soulless, dead-eyed ginger. Wow. I don't get how that helps anybody. Somebody explain that to me.
The Suicidal Ginger song is objectively, in my opinion, of evil.
So the song is not only of the devil, it emanates from evil. It's like if you had a slice of bread and you take a piece of that bread, you have a loaf of bread and you slice it up and you take a piece of that bread, that slice is of that loaf. So basically he's saying this song is a slice of evil. So it's pure evil. You have this slice of evil. According to Owen Benjamin, this song is evil. But if you listen to it, I'm not saying you're part of the Satanic Legion. I mean, at best, what Owen Benjamin is saying here is confusing.
Because these songs are intended to bring about despair programming, When you sing along, there's a consent to it.
Okay, so it's despair programming. This song is by the devil. It is of evil. It's being sung by a soulless, dead-eyed ginger. And if you sing along to it, you are consenting to that which is of evil from the devil by a dead-eyed ginger. But you're not part of the Satanic Legion if you sing along to this thing that is purely evil. Owen, just to make it clear, Owen Benjamin is saying this song is pure evil, authored by the devil.
So wranglerstar breaks it down because wranglerstar, Vox, we all saw right through this. And Oliver Anthony.
So they are the enlightened ones. We see through it, and now we're going to disseminate our truth to our audience.
He said, Cody, I've spent many hours.
So he is going to read Oliver Anthony's post to wranglerstar from the video that we're about to watch, with the reaction of wranglerstar on Oliver Anthony's song. And we're going to also read it here in a second because I'm going to show you that it is underneath this video.
I was watching your older videos. It was part of what inspired me to sell my house, buy raw land, and start the off-grid life. And now here I am getting roasted by the man himself, eye squirty face. I love the internet, eye squirty face heart. Okay, one, it's pretty obvious that he's a gamma male. He's being sarcastic. He's doing emojis. He's gay. He's a gamma. Like he's a sarcastic gamma male. No. It's not just a song. It's programming. It's pyramid programming, literally by the devil. Literally the devil.
So that is Owen Benjamin's take on it. We are going to focus specifically on Wranglerstar's take on this. And again, I leave myself open. Could the song be bad news? Could it be pyramid programming? Could it be something that we probably don't need to listen to? Yes, 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 and yes. But could it also be something that sparks a fire in a whole bunch of people that need a fire sparked in them, ignited in them, so that we can stop being so distracted, deceived, divided, demoralized, and dehumanized and easily conquered, get together and actually put up a united front against our true enemies, which are the people who control the monetary system. Because if you control the monetary system, you control Congress. So it's not technically at the root of the matter. Yeah, as bad as Washington's District of Criminals is, and I'm talking about every one of the 535 politicians, the 100%, the 100 in the Senate, and the 435 in the House. That is not the major problem. You know what the major problem is? And it's not even the military-industrial complex isn't the root of the problem. And presidents of the United States aren't the root of the problem. The root of the problem has to be the people who control the easy, unsound, dishonest money that gives rise to Washington's District of Criminals, that gives rise to the military-industrial complex, and even fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media, because we wouldn't have the CIA. We couldn't afford the FBI. We wouldn't have the Department of Homeland Security and the offshoot of the blue shirts, which are really brown shirts, just wearing blue shirts, of the TSA. $60 billion a year? $61 billion a year for NASA. We couldn't have those programs without a dishonest, unsound fiat currency, petrodollar Ponzi scheme going on under the helm of the Zio International Banking Cartel. Those are our enemies right there. That needs to be taken care of. When you cut off that supply of easy money where they can just put credit anywhere they want to, they can put zeros and ones in anybody's bank account. We can make this congressman and this senator rich if they say the right things and create the right laws that suppress the rest of us, so that we can give money to the billions to the defense contractors and hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine and start all these proxy wars. And hey, let's do a war in the Middle East. And hey, let's mess with China and let's do all these things. You couldn't have any of that. No alphabet soup agency could exist if we had a sound money system that couldn't be tampered with by the powers that shouldn't be. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. Was the Federal Reserve even mentioned on the conservative GOP debate stage the other night? Only in passing and not in a negative light. Only that the Federal Reserve was forced to increase interest rates. It's like, No, nobody forces the Federal Reserve to do anything. As Alan Greenspan said, hey, it doesn't matter who's the president, who's the congressman, who's the senator. It doesn't matter who the judges are in the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter what comes out of the legislative, judicial, or executive branches. As long as what we say is adhered to, everything's cool. It doesn't matter what the relationships are. Because the question was on that ABC special, or whoever asked the question, what should the relationship between the president of the United States and a Federal Reserve chairman be? He's like, it doesn't matter. As long as they do what we say, it doesn't matter what the relationships are. We're in control. We're in the driver's seat. Harkening back to what Amschel Rothschild said a couple hundred years ago, give me control over a nation's money. I don't give a damn who makes the laws. I don't care who's the congressman or senator. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat president. We got them dangling by our strings. Doesn't matter who makes the laws. We control the money. We got control of the purse strings. We control the value and issuance of your currency, slaves. So if you want to tackle the real problem, it's not alcoholism. It's not drug abuse and addiction like Nixon said in the 1970s when he initiated the war on drugs, which is really a war on people to take away individual rights. It's not even about the cops. It's not about the politicians. It's about the people who fund all the evil that we see. And it's not that there wouldn't be evil in the world without the Federal Reserve. It's just that there's exponentially more evil with it. You get people controlling the value. Think about it. Think of the worst person. Think of the best person you know. Think of the best person you know. Now think of the best person you know with control of the monetary system of a nation. Do you expect that in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, they're going to continue to be upright knowing that, hey, I control the issuance and the value of the currency. Why don't I do this? Why don't I just print a little extra money for these people, and then I'll get these people to do things for me. And now not only have you accumulated all the wealth of the nation, but now you're moving things around where you control all the chess pieces and you control the power. See, for these people, they're so rich, they don't even care much about money anymore. It's, I want more power. And he who has money never has money enough. He who has power is always seeking to get more power from other people and transfer that wealth and power to themselves and their buddies so they can sit on top looking down at the rest of us. So let me go over this video with you. This is Wranglerstar reacting to Oliver Anthony's song Richmond, North of Richmond. And we'll stop and make some comments along the way. Thanks for being here.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away.
See, there's an example. Gregory in the chat says, this no talent redneck ginger with the dead eyes. Man, I do not want to be, I would not want to be judged by that standard. I would not want to be judged by that standard. Is the most cringy. First of all, he's obviously not talentless. He can play guitar and he can sing and he can carry a note, and a lot of people like it. Not that I'm appealing to the tastes of the majority, but he obviously has talent that a lot of other people don't have. This no talent redneck ginger with the dead eyes, completely unfair, is the most cringy right-wing targeted marketing scheme I've seen since, quote, the father of the vax, that would be Donald J. Trump, got them to flip-flop to the side of big pharma. Both sides work for the enemies of the people. Now, it might be true that he is a right-wing targeted marketing scheme. That could be true. I can't say that definitively. I don't think anybody can unless you absolutely have concrete proof. But to use the ad hominems, I'm amazed. I am amazed that people continue down that course. I'm astounded at the Owen Benjamins of the world to be that, to use that measure, to use that standard against a fellow human being when it could be put on you in an unfair manner. I don't get I don't get anybody who wants to live in a world like that. So here we go.
Okay, first off, so he's complaining. Now, I would expect that from a ginger, having no souls that they do. But here's the deal. You agreed.
Did you hear what he said? I mean, is this... let me just give the benefit of the doubt. I don't know Wranglerstar, but is he being tongue-in-cheek when he says this? Is he just saying this because there's this thing about gingers out there, people who have red hair, have no soul, and they have dead eyes? I mean, listen to what he says. He's conveying what he said like it's matter of fact. This is just true.
Okay, first off, so he's complaining. Now, I would expect that from a ginger, having no souls that they do. But
it looks like he's serious. I don't know, man. Come on, Brian. Can't you tell he's being sarcastic? No, I can't. I can't.
You agreed to work for the wage that you're complaining about. No one forced you to go in there when you were applying for the job. You knew what the wage was, and you signed the agreement, and you agreed to work for that.
Now, I agree with that. And if you look at the song, he's complaining about a wage he agreed to. If you're working for a wage and you're complaining about it, well, you're complaining about the thing that why are you complaining now? Why did you sign in the dotted line if you're going to complain about it later? I agree with what Wranglerstar said right there. You're complaining about a wage. Nobody forced you a pen into your hand, and nobody forced you to sit down and fill out an application. You knew what you were going to get paid for. You knew what the job description was, and you looked across the desk into the eyes of your future employer or prospective employer and said, yeah, I will do that. I will do that job for that wage. That is something that I can agree to. So you agree to it one day and you complain about it next day. I agree with that. We got to be honest, man. We got to take the side of truth. And if there's one thing we know about truth, it's consistent. And there's one thing we know about truth seekers, they can be seeking the truth and still miss the mark and get it wrong. But you can't pick and choose. Truth fears no scrutiny. Because that's what truth will do. If you let truth lay on you long enough, it will lay into you so hard that you're going to have to make some changes, and you got to come in line with the truth. So I agree with what Wranglerstar said on that.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is.
Here's the deal. I think a lot of us are realizing we're trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole. The boomers lied to us. They told us, go to college, get a degree, take out student loans, get in with a good company. They'll take care of you. They'll look after you, the gold watch and all of that. You know, the reality is what we're realizing now is that was never true. They were simply farming people for the resources. Can you imagine?
Well, this is why I'm live streaming, because I want to hear from you guys. Cody Dean says, we all sign up for BS wages because there's no other option for the majority of people. Yes, to an extent. You choose where you want to work, and sometimes it's like you got to take what you can get. It's a take what you can get kind of thing. But still, nobody forced you. Maybe your circumstances forced you, but did you get yourself into your circumstances? There are people that are catapulted into circumstances that were really beyond their control. And they got to work with what they got until they can get themselves out of that situation into a better situation. So yeah, fair point. Reluctantly agree. What other choices exist? You don't get, I don't know. There's so many nuances. Sometimes the world can be extremely complex. Humanity, human relations, communications, and this crazy plan of the unknown universe are highly complex at times and seemingly simple at other times. So good points all around.
And spending all day in a cubicle. I mean, I've done it. I haven't done that particular thing, but I worked construction most of my life, dead end jobs, difficult jobs, paycheck to paycheck. I understand that. But they kept telling us, yeah, just keep working. It'll all work out for you. There's no point of complaining about this anymore. The blinders are off. We can see now that this was always a scam, that this was never the way. And I guess when we're no longer being coddled, and we start to see the real world for what it is and how difficult and hard it has been throughout eternity for men, that it's difficult. It's difficult because you're trying to make something work that is broken and it's not going to work anymore. The way things were 10, 20 years ago, the way things were for the boomers, that's not the way it is now. It's sink or swim out here. So complaining about the good old days or the way things used to be, you know what? They weren't all that good. That false sense of security, that coddling that you may have received by companies, well, that's over, and I don't know that it ever was any good.
Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think.
Yeah, no, that's true, but that's always been the case. There's always been people that tried to gain or did gain total control. Warlords, kings, emperors, there's nothing new here. But here's the deal, is that you can participate or not participate with them. You can be involved in that economy, or you can walk away from it. There's dudes that are living on a small piece of land for $30,000, $40,000 a year.
All right, let me just ask this. Is it possible in this present time to walk away from the current economy? Yeah, you could literally be off the grid. But are you really off the grid? Have you really isolated yourself to such an extent that you do not depend at all in the value of the US dollar, or depend on anybody who depends on the value of the US dollar? Because it does trickle down, it dilutes a little bit, and you might not directly be interacting with the system. But do you truly know anybody who is completely unplugged from the system? And when I say unplugged from the system, I mean they don't have a cell phone, they don't have an internet connection, they're not on the power grid, they're not on the telecommunications grid, they're not on the utilities, water treatment, sewage treatment grid. They are out in the forest somewhere, foraging on the land, not buying their making their own ammo, making their own clothes, growing their own food without going to the feed store and trading feed for dollars. Is there anybody that you know? If you know somebody, put it in the comment section below this video or in the chat room right now. Let me know if you know somebody who is completely off the grid. Because when I think of off the grid, I mean, it's either you're off the grid or on the grid. You're not partially off the grid, just like you can't be partially, well, she's a little pregnant. No, you're either pregnant or you're not. You're either off the grid or you're not. Do you know anybody who's unplugged from the system? And if you've done that, what kind of life do you have?
Bartering, trading, scaling down, not participating, not needing the latest, greatest thing, not needing the big home, not needing the multiple cars. So this is about choices. You can either complain about it or you can leave. But if you're going to operate in that system and operate in that environment and trying to hang on to the way things were 30 years ago, then this is a recipe for disaster. And sitting around complaining about it's not going to work. Go out and do something. There's never been more opportunities in your life.
Now, I've read a couple of the comments in the comment section, and we will do that here in a second. As a matter of fact, let's read some of those right now. Let's look under this video, because a lot of people were saying that, and I've watched wranglerstar videos in the past. I haven't seen one in a while, but people were making the point that a lot of wranglerstar's video, you could compile video after video after video of him complaining about the way things are. And now you have him. He's a popular YouTube influencer putting a negative mark on Oliver Anthony and his music for being popular and for complaining. So you have a very, look at, he's got 2.41 million subscribers. He's questioning the legitimacy of Oliver Anthony because he's popular, although he's speaking from a platform of popularity, condemning him for complaining when a lot of people have pointed out, hey, what you do in your videos is complain and complain. And what you're doing on this video is complaining about a song about a guy complaining. So what's the deal here? And a lot of people are pointing out that they believe that wranglerstar is being hypocritical in his assessment of Oliver Anthony. So Oliver Anthony Music responds to this video that we're going over, this reaction video from Wranglerstar, Cody, and that's this Wranglerstar guy's name. I've spent many hours watching your older videos. This is what Owen Benjamin read. It was part of what inspired me to sell my house, buy raw land, and start the off-the-grid life. And now here I am getting roasted by the man himself. I love the internet. And that's another point right there, because other people were making a point. Whoa, wait a second. You sold your house. The guy's 31. They say the guy is 31 years old, and he admits that he sold his house. So before he was 31, because he just attained popularity, when did he buy his house? Let's just say he bought it 5 years ago. 5 years ago, he was 26 because he's 31 now. He told Joe Rogan the other day he's 31. So 31 minus 5 is 26. So he owned a house, people are saying, at 26 years old. How many 26-year-olds do you know own their own house, can sell that house, pay all the taxes, the capital gains and all that kind of stuff on it, and then buy raw land, by the way, and live an off-the-grid life? By the way, the raw land that he bought, and this is all in the interest of transparency and just wanting to seek the truth. He bought 90 acres at about $1,300 per acre. They have the land deed right here. It was in North Dinwiddie, Virginia. He bought 90 acres at a value of $119,800. You can see this right here. And here's the actual, PDF of that transaction. So it was roughly $1,300 per acre. So people are saying, whoa, this guy came out of money. Either he had a darn good job and he was a great saver at an early age and was able to purchase or buy a house, sell that house, and then purchase 90 acres in Virginia, or somebody gave him the money. And so people are saying he's not a self-made man and this guy's got skeletons in his closet and all that stuff. I just wanted to bring it up because that's part of what people are talking about. And that's part of one of those things where you got to, truth fears no scrutiny. Here, this is what it is. I'm going to lay the truth on the table, and then you assess, you make the decision on what you think is going on. Because the reason this is important is because if this is a psychological operation, if indeed he is controlled opposition, if this is pyramid programming from a dead-eyed, soulless ginger like Owen Benjamin is saying, then we should probably take this seriously. Because last thing we want to do is add another layer to our brainwashing, because hey, every day we got to cleanse our minds of brainwashing, and we got to get the broom of knowledge and scrape off the cobwebs of cognitive dissonance off the inside of our brains. So let's continue with this.
Back in the day, look at what we're doing right here. This is a podcast, or it could be a radio program. You could do anything you want with a computer, an iPhone, and a microphone. You have access to the entire world now. In the past, talk radio, for example, I grew up on that. There were gatekeepers. You had no way of ever breaking into that unless you had a break or you just were an incredible talent.
Well, there are also, we know this, there are also gatekeepers on social media. They will not let certain people. One of the most censored people that I know on the internet is a guy named Ryan Christian from The Last American Vagabond. They kicked him off of YouTube. They kicked him off of Facebook. They kicked him off of Instagram. PayPal kicked him off. Patreon kicked him off. Payment processors were kicking him off. Banks were giving him a hard time. Also, Red Ice TV. These people are being seriously economically terrorized and shut down and shut out and gate kept. So that does happen to a lot of people. It has happened to me. It's probably happened to you. I can't tell you how many channels that I've had that were terminated, successful channels. And by the way, people have called me controlled opposition, saying there's no way you can get 560,000 subscribers on YouTube unless you're on the in, unless you're being paid off by the feds. Well, yeah, you can. I know the truth. And it took me a lot of time and a lot of hard work and a lot of research and a lot of diligence to get to where I was. I didn't have any YouTube representative calling me. As a matter of fact, they were constantly giving me a hard time. Demonetized for 6 years. People are like, look how many views he's getting. He's making so much money. I didn't make one dime for 6 years on YouTube because my channel was demonetized. Permanently demonetized.
Now, look at the opportunities, but no one's going to give them to you. You have to go out there and learn. It's a steep learning curve. It's difficult. You have to fall down. You have to put your time in, but no one owes you anything. And maybe it's time to get kicked out of that nest of comfort and go out and find your own way.
Know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, knows the rich men.
Yeah, and everything he's saying is true. Everything is getting obscenely expensive. I was complaining to the warband just yesterday. To put 2 tires on a dirt bike now is, over $200. They used to be $50 a piece.
Did you catch the hypocrisy right there? He just let slip that he too complained just the other day about the price of motorcycle tires, while he's making a video condemning a guy who made a song that he calls complaining and whining and bitching. We'll see that at the very end. That's what he calls it. This is just a complaining, whiny bitch session.
We're just not.
I'm not against Cody from Wranglerstar. I'm not against Oliver Anthony from Richmond, north of Richmond. I feel like they are on the same page, and we do have a common enemy still who's really enjoying the fact that we're against each other on this. But we got to be honest. Whenever there's hypocrisy, we got to call it out. This isn't personal. I'm not going to make a personal attack and call him, because I don't believe it. I don't believe that Cody from Wranglerstar is a soulless, dead-eyed, what color is his hair? Black. Who cares what, blue-eyed demon. I'm not going to call him that because I don't believe that. I don't know why people are calling each other's names. It's not just childish. It's pretty. And all these people are calling themselves Christians. I think Owen Benjamin calls himself a Christian. You can't get a more foul-mouthed personality that I've seen on BitChute. He's constantly talking about just F this, F that, gay this, bend over and do this, and suck, that. And I'm like, what the heck? And then condemning Oliver Anthony for having one, quote, curse word because he says the dollar ain't shit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I hope Oliver Anthony and Owen Benjamin and Cody from Wranglerstar watch this video, because I got questions. And maybe, what would be interesting? If we got all 3 of those guys on an interview with me or somebody. That'd be interesting. So let's all sit down. Hey, okay, so now, Owen, you called Oliver Anthony a soulless, dead-eyed ginger who created a song that comes straight from the devil and is nothing but evil. Can you explain that to Oliver real quick? What's your proof for that?
Entitled to the things that we think that we're entitled to. I think we're going to have a very different outlook on life, in that just all of the luxuries, all of the choice, all the abundance that we've had, that's going to have to change. And if you try to keep making that happen and keep forcing that square peg in the round hole, it's only going to lead into disappointment. The blinders are off. We've been thrown into the deep end of the pool. Now you need to get out, figure out a way to swim and to make it happen.
I wish politicians would look out for minors.
You know what? Putting your faith in politicians, that ship has sailed as well. This is very much an infantile understanding of the world. No offense to the singer, but...
Now, I got to say, first of all, because I don't remember, maybe he said this at the beginning, but this is, according to Cody Wranglerstar, according to him, this is the first time he had heard this song, and he'd been trying for all week, because his followers have been saying, his audience has said, hey, listen to this song and review this song. So he's tried for a week to not listen to this song at all. So this is his first time listening to it. And he didn't play the next part because the rich men north of Richmond and saying, I wish politicians would look out for minors and not just minors on an island somewhere. I don't think that Oliver Anthony, who admits that he's been watching for years or spent many hours watching Cody's videos, I don't think that Oliver Anthony is saying that he wants help from minors. What he's saying is, hey, I wish you'd look out for the minors like you look out for the minors on some island somewhere under the tutelage of some billionaire that may or may not have himself. So in my estimation, and based on his own testimony of having not heard the music, he seems to be doing a lot of speaking in ignorance. I'm not calling Cody stupid. You can be ignorant, just not have knowledge of something. You can be ignorant without being stupid. But I think right here, he's acting in ignorance without knowledge.
Are any of us really looking to politicians to give us our food, our bread, put clothing on our back? Are we looking to them? Have we not seen at our age 40, 50, 60 that politicians, they don't care about you. They care about preserving their own careers. They care about receiving wealth and money from lobbyists. And to have this idea that there's a savior in Washington or a savior at your state level that's going to pass some legislation and do something for you is, well, it's kind of silly. And I think we need to move on.
That's not at all what Oliver Anthony is saying in that. It's complete. Everything that Cody just said is irrelevant, has nothing to do with the meaning of, I wish politicians would look after minors on an island somewhere. It's a jab at politicians on how evil they actually are because we know what they pay attention to.
Not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in.
Yes, the system is broken. People that are taking advantage of the situation are being rewarded. Illegal aliens are being favored over U.S. citizens. That's the way that it is. This is the world that we live in now. And there's no point of, it's so broken. The government is so top heavy. I heard a few years ago that there are more federal and state employees than there are people in the private industry. That to continue to look at this system for redemption or have an idea in your head that you're going to reform this in any way, you need to move on from that. Again, if you don't move on from that and you still try to make a broken system work, you get this type of video of complaining and whining and whinging. It's over. There's no point, in my opinion, to vote for federal elections. We don't have representation anymore.
I completely agree with his political outlook. He's against Democrat. He's against Republican. He's against the federal bureaucracy. He's against this big bloated government who's basically become this overarching evil power in our lives. I completely agree with what Wranglerstar is saying here, although the context is he's applying it to Oliver Anthony's song. And it's just not true. Wait, could it be true? Could this be a super highly deceptive, controlled operational experiment by the social engineers and the psychological operators of our day? Yes, absolutely it could be. But I don't see anything objective. Is it complaining? Yes. Did he hit all the points that he should hit and all the problems that should be hit? And did he talk about the Federal Reserve? No, I kind of wish he had. But then other people, he does deal with that, then other people go, why didn't he deal with this? And you can only fit so much in a 2 or 3 minute song. But I think that what Wranglerstar is trying to apply to this song doesn't apply. And I could be totally wrong because this could turn out to be one of those, because it's so popular and it's so widely accepted and it has caused such a stir, not just in this nation, but all over the frickin' world in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, this is a literal viral forest fire that it's being fueled by 150 mile per hour winds, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. And it's popular for a reason. Here's a question we could ask. Would it be as popular if he had started off the song like, the Federal Reserve owns your president, Team Red and Team Blue, 100%. You keep voting for fools in the government. That's why so many of you can't pay your rent. It's a damn shame that the world got screwed. If the song started like that, would it have 50 million views on YouTube? If the song started like that, would he have been interviewed by Faux News and Joe Rogan? And would people even be talking about him? Would people know the name Oliver Anthony if he had pinpointed, here's the problem? I wish he'd make a song like that to see how popular it gets, because I don't see a song getting that popular. If you open the eyes of the blind about what their real plight is and where it emanates from, where it originates from, it makes me wonder how popular it would be. Because I can see how this song is popular because it basically resonates with where people are, or where they think they are, or where their grandfather was, and the hard times that we all got to wade through while we're getting screwed by the rich men north of Richmond in Washington's District of Criminals. But it really makes me wonder, if those were the lyrics, how popular would this video actually be? I do ask myself those questions.
I know that is going to be heresy to a lot of people that are still blue-pilled, but you're not being represented. They don't care about you. They don't care what you think. The only thing you can do, if you're worried about homelessness and people taking advantage of such, all you can do is...
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I don't agree with that sentiment, Kevin. Kevin says, it's a effing song, just stop. I don't think... I think words have meaning, and because words have meaning and have this propensity to be hijacked and cast spells on people, and because propaganda can be used and social engineers are constantly at work and there's AI technology against us, we should talk about this. This is important. It's not just a song. It's not just a song. It's not just a song to Oliver Anthony. This song has a message that he wants to get out and resonate with a whole bunch of people, and it is resonating. So because it's resonating in a lot of our fellow human beings, it's a good idea to talk about it to get a good grasp on what's going on with it. And the more we talk about it, I think the better off we are. It's not just a song. I don't think there are accidents in this world. Are there things that are probably more benign than we'd like to think? Probably, but maybe it's more weighty than we'd like to think too. So I don't look at it. I don't think it's beneficial to look at it's just a song. It's like WET from, what's her name? It's not Nicki Minaj. Who is that? Cardi B. I think that has a direct effect and influence on how young people think, about how they think about, engaging in, with other people. And it lessens it and diminishes it, and it reduces the value of human beings. And it kind of it makes society trashy. So I think it's important. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. If you think, it's just a song. What are you making a big deal on it this far? Words, lyrics, who cares? Yeah, it's probably all demonic or whatever. I don't know.
To check out of that system, you've got to pay your taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, they'll send guys with guns to put you in a cage or kill you. So you have to render unto Caesar what Caesar's. But how about look at your local level? The only thing that I see that we can do these days in this current environment is to pull in and look at your community. Gather like-minded men around you from your community, friends, have small group friendships, and start working together. Start trading, bartering, and start checking out of the system. If there's a local guy that you can help, or someone that's about to be homeless in your community, that's actually, you could...
All right, so Kevin says, you're wrong. No, you don't agree with much, do you? It's like, well, I disagree with that. Don't get offended by it. You disagree with that we should be talking about this, so we're in disagreement. We can definitely talk about this. I do think words have meaning. And I think that if you skew the meaning of words, it's not a good idea for society. If you start creating situations where words can have different definitions, then you can actually create evil in the world. Let me give you an example. The word crime. The word crime in old Black's Law Dictionary used to mean not without a victim. So if there was crime, there had to be a victim, a real material victim. Somebody got harmed. Somebody got threatened. Somebody's property was damaged or stolen, and somebody refused to replace or pay for it. The word crime now means a violation of the law. Law used to have a specific meaning. Now it's got a sliding scale meaning. So now, violation of the law. What are laws? Laws are the opinions of politicians backed by the threat of government-funded, government-sanctioned force. So now you've got a crime now means you violated the words of politicians. Now we have enforcers who are economically terrorizing fellow Americans, imprisoning them for decades for disobeying the laws of politicians when no victim was created. That's just one example of words have meaning. If you change the meaning of a word, you can literally victimize a whole lot of people because you elevate some people, politicians and the law enforcers, and you devalue and take away the rights of other people to the point where you can take away their lives because they committed a crime violating the laws of politicians. Do you see what I mean? Is any of this resonating with anybody here? Is there anything that I've said that's off base or objectively false? If it is, please let me know, because truth fears no scrutiny, and we can talk about this kind of stuff. So getting back to, this is just a song, it's no big deal. I just gave you an example of where words have meaning. And when you take the meaning out of words and you try to fashion something and create a situation where you say that this guy means this when he actually meant the exact opposite, you can create not only a whole bunch of chaos and confusion, you can bring into the pipeline of life a whole bunch of evil. It's like, I was just following orders. I was just doing my job. I don't write the laws. I just obey them. Well, you're an order follower, and you are the conduit through which most evil enters the world. Because if you reduce your morality and go toward the scale of conformity, then you're basically doing what you're told, regardless of what it's right or not. And what you're saying is, if what somebody tells me to do is evil, I'm just going to do it because it puts food on the table. I didn't write the evil. I'm just carrying out the evil. And that makes me feel pretty good about myself. And that's my justification for doing it. Do you see what I mean? This all matters. It's like people are like, lay off the cops, man. Why lay off the cops? They need to be exposed. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. Doesn't Ephesians 5:11 say that? But rather expose them. Part and parcel of walking in the truth is exposing the lie. And why would you expose the lie? Because you're exposing danger. If you want to put a word picture to it, it's kind of like you standing with a sign, waving your hands and telling people who are traveling 65 miles per hour, don't go this way. The bridge is out. If you continue on your current trajectory at your current miles per hour, you're going to go off the bridge and you'll die. That's what knowing the truth is. When you see somebody's continuing on a lie, you say, dude, you got to stop that or it's going to kill you. Smoking cigarettes. Do you not realize that there's 200 and something carcinogens in every puff and you're actually poisoning your body? You're not saying that because I'm just a know-it-all. Look, I'm above you. No, it's because you care. You speak the truth because you care about people. It's in concert with love and with honesty and with self-control and do to others what you would want done to you. You want people telling you the truth. You don't want to surround yourself with people who are just going to constantly tell you lies. Before you step out of the house, don't you want your wife or significant other to tell you got a big old booger hanging down your nose and we're about to go out to eat at dinner and you don't want people to look at you and go, oh God. Because if that did happen, if you went to the restaurant, sat down at that table, ordered your food, came in contact with a whole bunch of people who just shook your hand and talked to you, well, they didn't shake your hand because you got a booger in your nose. And then you find out later you got a booger in your nose. Wouldn't you yell at your wife and say, hey, why didn't you tell me? You're supposed to be on my side. You're supposed to tell me the truth. I didn't see it. And that's what happens often in this life is you go on and you think you're on the right track, but other people can see things that you can't because they have a different perspective on it. Not because they're better, not because they're smarter, not because they're, more enlightened than you, but they have a different perspective. And that's why I say none of us is greater than all of us. We can all add something of value to somebody's life. You can even learn from somebody that is a wise man will learn something from a fool, but a fool will learn nothing from anybody. Don't be a fool. That's all I'm saying.
Do something about it. You can actually help. But outside of that, are we wringing our hands on the West Coast for what's taking place in Detroit, Washington, D.C.? Can we have any effect on this? Can we change this whatsoever? No, we have enough problems here on our own home turf without worrying about that. So politicians are not going to help you.
'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true.
Well, it is true.
I
And
know he
there's no
says
point
that.
of making hope your plan and looking to politicians. And the Donald, we have an election coming up. The next distraction. If I have to hear another, Donald Trump. If we could get Donald Trump in there, who come in there and fix everything. This is the more you believe in this, and the more you just 4 more years, just kick that can down the road, just hoping and grasping. We'll get it this time. You're being robbed.
He is so right about that. That's what I like about wranglerstar. When he speaks from an objective view, because you can see this, you can objectively say that Donald J. Trump is playing for the same team owners as Joe Biden. How do we know? Because they both like ringing up debt. Ringing up national debt equals the devaluing of your dollar. Devaluing your dollar means stealing your time and labor. So both Joe Biden and Donald Trump stole your time and labor, and you're going to vote for them? You're going to vote for anybody in the debate stage? They will all do the same thing. How do we know? Because historically speaking, there's not been one person that stood up and said, nope, we can't do unsound, dishonest, evil money anymore. Currency. Cannot do the petrodollar reserve currency thing anymore. Can't continue to fill the coffers of the military industrial complex. Can't continue to crush the American people while we put more money in the pockets of the defense contractors. Can't be starting proxy wars. No, they're not going to do that. Why? Because that's not what they were hired to do. They weren't elected, they were selected. So all these people talking about the vote count, there's nothing more democratic than having an American vote. You can't take their unalienable right to vote away. Guess what? We don't have an unalienable right to vote. It's nowhere listed in the Bill of Rights. You have the right to freedom of speech. You have the right to freedom of the press. By the way, if you're American, do you know the 5 tenets, the 5 main points, the 5 freedoms of the First Amendment? There's an acronym, RAPS, RAPPS, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. You have those freedoms. Nobody can take them away from you because you have them, not because we have a Bill of Rights, but because you are a human being. You have a beating heart in your chest. You have an unalienable right. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody can legitimately take it away, even though they try. Every single day, they're working on a law to take away more of your rights. You have the unalienable right to defend yourself with whatever firepower you want. It's not even so much that shall not be, the shall not be infringed clause. I look at it a little bit different. It's not even that so much that you have the right to self-defense. It's that nobody else has the right to tell you you don't have the right to self-defense. It goes way deeper than these words written on parchment from 240, 250 years ago. This is something you have, and how do you prove it? Because I have it, and you have it, and every human being has it. You have the right to say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and nobody's got a right to say that you can't. Now, can you say it at a private wedding party? No, because that's their domain. And if you want to say it, go say it on the public street somewhere. Nobody's got a right to take away your rights. So I agree with what wranglerstar says here when he says, you guys voting for politicians, who cares? People make this big deal about election fraud. Somebody tampered with the voting machines and put all these ballots in for Democrats. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was Biden that won. It doesn't matter if it was Trump that won. Did you see how much debt Trump rang up? $7.1 trillion in 4 years. He accumulated more debt, almost more debt in 4 years than Obama did in 8. Who's your daddy? You got Donald Trump. Donald Trump was worse on gun control issues than Obama was. How do we know? Well, it's objective. He's the one who, out of the White House, said we're going to institute federal red flag laws. Red flag laws are the antithesis of Second Amendment freedoms. Basically, if anybody suspects that you're a danger to yourself or somebody else, they can call 911 anonymously. and report you and say, I think he's got a gun. You need to go to his house and you need to remove his firearms. That's what Trump said is okay to do. And then he sits next to Dianne Frankenstein across the seat from Mike Pence and says, I don't know, Mike, I like take the guns first, due process second. Never heard anything like that or saw actions like that coming out of Obama, even though they talked about gun control all the time. But Trump initiated more anti-Second Amendment rhetoric into the mainstream than Obama ever did. Does that mean Obama's better than Donald Trump? Not at all, because they're still playing for the same team owners. They play their role, they read their script, and then they put these puppets back into a box and then wait for the next election cycle where all the slaves feel so good about themselves on the plantation voting for the next team owner who's going to rob and rule them, but maybe just a little less this time. Not only that, Trump was a staunch proponent of civil asset forfeiture. What is that but a big flip off of the Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects? Giving law enforcement the ability to, if they suspect your money might be involved in a crime or you have more money than they think you should, they can rob you roadside, come to your house and rob you, take your safe or whatever. And Trump's perfectly okay with that. And people will take that clip and go, they'll clip me and say, look, he's against Trump. He's for Biden. It's just, people are so freaking dishonest. Biden and Trump are on the same team, but they speak against each other. It's WWE. Hulk Hogan spoke against Andre the Giant. The Ultimate Warrior spoke against, name another wrestler, Ric Flair or whatever. But at the end of the match, they go behind the curtain, crack a beer, and divide up the money that they made pretending to be enemies. Same thing with politics. Same thing with the presidency of the United States. It's a perfect psychological operation. You get Democrats and Republicans at each other's throats all day, and nobody's talking about the real problem because they can't. They think the real problem is damn Democrats. The Democrats think the problem is damn conservative Republicans. Just create a lie, throw it out, and watch the two sides argue about which lie is the truth. Crazy, man. Team red and team blue.
Everything is being taken from you. Now is the time to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. I'm not going to participate. I'm going to focus internally. I'm not going to complain about it. Yep, maybe it's not as good as what the boomers had. Yep, maybe it wasn't as good as when we grew up, but there's also a lot of opportunities that my dad never had, my granddad never had. Never had. So I don't like this. It just smacks of whining and complaining and looking to the past that was never that great.
And a lot of people in the comment section under his video have pointed out that many, many videos of wranglerstar is him just constantly whining and complaining. This guy says, seems to me Oliver did exactly what Cody's suggesting doing. He used the internet to better life by posting a song that resonated with millions of people. This guy says Cody owes this guy an apology. If you don't like this song, then it ain't for you. It's about you. Let us know how Jack, I don't know who he's calling Jack, gets along with buying a house, land, vehicles, and tools on his firefighter salary. Apparently, Cody from wranglerstar used to be an employee of the U.S. Forest Service, which is a federal agency. So people are, calling him out for being basically a government welfare recipient on the government federal dole. He said, I'm sure he won't benefit from any inherited wealth. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the U.S. Forest, yeah, here you go. Isn't the U.S. Forest Service a federal job paid with taxpayer money? Got it. Man, does Cody know how to alienate himself from his viewers and subscribers? Starting to think Rolling Stone is 100% spot on. Apparently, Rolling Stone right here did a video on wranglerstar entitled, he taught people to make this word right here, and YouTube is helping him cash in. Cody Crone, aka wranglerstar, started out as a humble homesteader, but the mounting extremism in his content has gotten him banned from TikTok. And I think that one of the reasons, if you look on wranglerstar's social blade, that he somebody that controls his account, or he himself, probably him, because I heard him say in one of his last live streams that the Rolling Stone article freaked him out. Maybe he got so freaked out that he deleted 54 million video views from his channel sometime between August 9th and August 15th. The Rolling Stone article came out on August 11th, so that would fit. It looks like the Rolling Stone article freaked him out to such an extent that he eliminated or deleted 54 million video views. Now, I'm not downing him for that, because I've had to do that too. You have to eliminate video views so that, if you're on your second strike or something, you don't want to get that third strike. You go through all your videos and like, oh, that might be guilty of community guidelines. That might break terms of service or whatever. So something else to point out about Cody is that if you'll remember, in the very first part of his critique of Oliver Anthony, he spoke about Oliver Anthony's popularity and then suggested that maybe since Oliver Anthony is popular, he is controlled opposition, because he says, I can't see how you get popular in this realm or this industry without, being controlled opposition. Like I said, Oliver Anthony could have said this about wranglerstar 2 or 3 weeks ago before anybody heard about Oliver Anthony, because wranglerstar has 2.41 million subscribers on YouTube. Oliver Anthony could have gone, oh, popular, controlled opposition? Probably. And then look how popular he is. He's consistently getting 25 to 30 million views every month, which means he's getting about 1 million views a day. And even though this is a little skewed because he did that 53 million view sell-off, he's averaging about 900,000 to 1 million views a day still. That is pretty popular. Now, am I going to call Cody from wranglerstar controlled opposition, or suggest that he might be controlled opposition because he's experienced such a success on a platform who routinely kicks people off of it for wrongthink? No, because I think sometimes things break through the system and sometimes the algorithms don't catch it, or the algorithms and the system get so overwhelmed with popularity, and there is some kind of grassroots thing that happens where somebody's message breaks through the matrix, or whatever you want to call it. But Owen Benjamin called it, they've astroturfed this guy into existence. In other words, they've deployed a deceptive technique to let the people think that something that was actually pushed by the establishment, i.e. Oliver Anthony's Richmond, north of Richmond, was actually a grassroots campaign that happened all organically. That's what astroturfing is. And Owen Benjamin has accused Oliver Anthony of being astroturfed into popularity. I just don't see how you can make those kind of claims, man, and retain any kind of credibility. And I've reached out to Owen Benjamin, asking him if he wouldn't mind doing a live stream. I will do a live stream with him. I'll be cordial, but we will ask the tough questions. It's like, what is your proof that this is of the devil? And what do you say to people who don't believe in the devil? There are people who say that, hey, this devil thing, it's a construct of the mind. This religion, I don't care if it's Christianity or Islam or, what's the other major religion? It's all the opiate of the masses. These are all made up stories, and you guys are all just chasing these stories, and you're actually believing this and conveying it as though it were fact. So there's a lot of things to unpack here. So let's get back to this. We're wrapping up this reaction to the reaction.
And anyway,
It is, all it is, living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men know for Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control.
okay. It's the rich man, poor man. That's the demon, right? Every one of you has the opportunity to do better in life. And just because somebody else has done better in life doesn't mean that they've taken something from you.
And at this point, I do not think he understands what rich men north of Richmond is alluding to. Those politicians, all the politicians, according to Oliver Anthony, in Washington's District of Criminals. So there's a lot of ignorance there.
I know it's a very popular target. It's an easy target, but no one gave me anything. I had to fight and scratch. I had to do this for a decade before I started getting traction. And that's just the way that it is. No one owes you anything. The guy that just because he's driving a nicer truck than you doesn't mean he's taking money out of your pocket.
Yeah, he's missing
Yes, there
it.
are politicians that are evil. Yes, there are corrupt businessmen. But for the most part,
He's totally missing it.
look to your own devices. Don't be so focused on what someone else has. You have every opportunity with the internet. You can do anything right now. Get about doing it.
He does not get what's going on. He does not get what the song's about. And I think that he still doesn't. He's not willing to open his mind to what the song is actually about, in my opinion.
Stop pointing to someone who's got more than you, thinking that they're the reason, they're your oppressor, they're keeping you down. This is very whiny.
Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and then I don't think you know, but I know that you do, cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, cause the rich men, north the rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day.
You sold your soul. You entered into the contract. You agreed to work for the amount that the man was paying. My dad used to say a man's only worth what he's willing to work for. So take the job, accept the paycheck, and then complain about it. It doesn't make any sense.
Overtime hours,
I agree with that to an extent.
bullshit pay.
That's it. I was expecting something more. That's nothing but a bitch session and complaining. Yeah, times are tough.
So if you say that, this is nothing more, and he did say that, this is nothing more than a whiny bitch session, then you better make sure you don't have any content that could be construed or is directly a whiny bitch session, because I've seen him complain about a lot of things. So which one is it, Cody? I would just ask Wranglerstar, which one is it? Are you saying that if you're singing a song that becomes popular, that is whiny and complaining in a bitch session, that is unacceptable? But it's okay to be a hyper popular YouTube influencer and make videos that show you engaging in a whiny, complaining bitch session. Man, you got to be so careful. And is it wrong to complain? I don't see the song as whining so much as I see him singing from the perspective of somebody who is conveying their outlook on the way they think life is. Do I think it's a good idea for somebody to act like Anthony or Oliver Anthony has acted in his life? Let me just show you what Oliver Anthony's testimony was from the Joe Rogan podcast. Listen to what he says about himself, because this isn't good.
So yeah, like when I was outside of work, it's like I'd drink, I'd get just absolutely stoned, and I would just sit around and try to think about anything but what it was that I really needed to be doing.
You were just smoking too much weed, drinking too much, and just procrastinating.
Yeah.
So he was a worker, a smoker, a drinker, and just plain flat out lazy when it came to actually getting stuff done. That's not good. That's not going to do Oliver Anthony any good. It's not going to do his family any good. Sitting there just getting drunk after work and getting high and wasting your mind. That's not good. That's not a good example. But he says he's turned that around. We've all been places. We've all been to dark places. We've all done things in our lives that we wish we hadn't, and we'll never do them again because we've learned, we've acquired knowledge. We've become self-disciplined and self-determined. But for Cody to talk about, this is just a whiny, complaining bitch session, man, make sure you don't have any content where anybody could construe that, or you have actually become a hypocrite. And if you become a hypocrite and you don't change your ways, you can seriously diminish your credibility.
It's the rich man, poor man. It's that.
Let me get back to where we were.
I was expecting something more. That's nothing but a bitch session and complaining. Yeah, times are tough, but would you prefer to have the truth? Would you prefer to see the world as it really is, or would you rather live under the illusion that the boomers wove for us? Because I'd rather have it out. I'd rather get it over with, figure it out, what's really happened.
What did he just do there? Listen to what he just said.
Have the truth? Would you prefer to see the world as it really is, or would you rather live under the illusion that the boomers wove for us? Because I'd rather have it out. I'd rather get it over with, figure it out, what's really happening. That's what we're seeing. The government doesn't care for you.
Good point, John Daniel. John Daniel says in the chat, it's not really whiny. It could be just talking about reality. Yeah, why couldn't it be that? Why not give somebody the benefit of the doubt? Have them on your show. I mean, obviously, Oliver Cody, based on, let's just go back to, this first. Oliver Anthony, if you're just joining us, Oliver Anthony left a comment under Wranglerstar's reaction to Oliver Anthony's song. And obviously, Oliver Anthony respects Cody to the point where he spent many hours watching his videos. Don't you think that if Cody reached out to Oliver Anthony, hey, my audience is asking me to do a review of your video. Why don't you come on one of my shows? I'll interview you and we'll talk about your song and you tell me what you think it means. That's how much clout Cody has. Don't you think Oliver Anthony would have done that? I am inclined to think that he would. And when you've got that kind of avenue and I don't have that option. As far as I know, Oliver Anthony's not watching my stuff. But if I knew he was and I thought he respected me or whatever, I'd reach out to him and say, hey, you've been a long-time subscribers. Why don't you come on to my show? My audience would love it. And let's get your take on it. I don't think at this point Oliver Anthony is our enemy. Could he be controlled opposition? Of course. Could Cody be controlled opposition? Of course. Could I be? Of course. You don't know me. I know me. I'm not. I don't believe Cody is. I don't believe Oliver Anthony is, but I could be wrong. But what's the harm in giving somebody a little bit of leeway to prove themselves? I mean, I guess somebody could make a point. Well, if you let it go too long, it could be devastating. Yeah, and I agree. It's like none of us are going to get this thing perfect. So that was pretty much it. Let me see. Is there anything else? Let me just show you. This is very short. Here's what he said. This is what Cody said in a live stream about Oliver Anthony. This is only a couple minutes long. Put a 1 in the room if you want to. Soy boy. Oh my gosh. I hate that kind of stuff. It's so ad hominem. You're a soy boy. Oh, okay. So what is that? So what if the guy can bench press more than you? Is he still a soy boy? What if he can run faster than you? What if he has a better endurance level than you? What if he can articulate? At what point would you not call somebody a soy boy? I cannot stand. I mean, I know that gets clicks and views and gets people triggered and gets people wanting to come to your channel and make comments and stuff, but man, calling people names like that, I don't even get it. He's a leftist hipster LARPing as a right-wing country singer. It's a massive troll. Prove it. That's quite an accusation. All you have to do is substantiate it. That's the hard part. It's so easy to talk about somebody like that. Yeah, he's a soy boy. Okay. At what point is somebody rightly labeled a soy boy? I mean, seriously, there's got to be a line. Like there has to be a point at which one day you weren't a soy boy and now you are a soy boy. Can you look like you're not a soy boy but actually drink soy milk and eat soy products? Can you be in the presence of somebody that you determine, hey, that guy, that is a masculine dude. That's an alpha male right there. Ain't no soy boy going on. And then he lifts his glass of soy milk. At what point do you become a soy boy? And at what point do you lose the accurate moniker of soy boy? What is that? And who determines that's an alpha male, that's a beta male, and that's a gamma male? And are you actually an alpha male if you claim yourself to be an alpha male? I mean, we see people, I'm an alpha male. In my experience, people who self-proclaim as alpha male automatically aren't. Because alpha males don't have to say that they're alpha males. Everybody already knows it. It's like, oh, that guy he's an in control guy. That guy's an alpha male. Let another praise you and not your own mouth. I mean, like, if it's legitimate, if you're actually who you think yourself to be, you don't have to say it. Everybody else will know. It's almost like people are just, I don't know. They need that affirmation. What's that called? There's a psychological term for it. What is it? They're not secure. They're not secure in their own who they are. An alpha male protects their family and their community. What if they drink soy? Are they alpha male or soy boy? What does Oliver mean by he's down the middle politically? I don't know. I heard him say that. I showed that on a live stream. I don't know what it means by he's down the middle. He said repeatedly that he's against both sides. I've seen him say that. He's an admitted leftist who has the hipster look, and he's trolling right wingers. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what a soy boy is. Can somebody explain that? What if we looked it up? What is a soy boy? Let me see. When I think of soy boy, I think of somebody who's like effeminate or whatever. Oh, yeah, my internet's messing up. What is a soy boy? Soy boy is a pejorative term sometimes used in online communities to describe men perceived to be lacking masculine characteristics. And who's to be a judge of that? The term bears many similarities and has been compared to the slang term cuck, new male, and low T, terms sometimes used as an insult for male femininity. So if you got a male who has those characteristics, but they can squat 450 pounds for 10, can you really rightly still call that guy a soy boy? I would just stay clear of that kind of stuff. You guys can do what you want. I just think it's funny and it's sad. It's funny and it's sad. It's like, do you really want somebody labeling you like that? And if you say yes, I kind of think you're lying. You're not being honest with yourself. Here's what wranglerstar said a day or two later during a live stream when people were really holding him to task on what he was saying about Oliver Anthony, because something that I didn't point out that I want to mention right now is that he got massively downvoted for this reaction, Richmond, north of Richmond reaction on his channel. 3,357 people liked what he said and 2,437 people didn't like what he said. So it's basically, it's almost, what is it? Like 45%, 48% were completely against what he said. Completely against what he said. All right, so let's look at this last thing, a couple minutes long.
Oliver Christopher is living off-grid in a camper. He himself commented on your review video yesterday saying your video inspired him to do that. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know anything about him. I just, maybe I was too hard on him. You guys asked me to do a video review. Now this was seeing it for the very first time, and that was my initial impression. It's like, well, maybe it was because I was expecting something really monumental. I was seeing dudes all over my feed that were doing reviews of this and talking about it. I very intentionally did not look at it. I did not listen to it. And I just turned it on. Now, was I already biased? Maybe so. Because when I automatically assume when the whole world is gushing over something, that makes me suspicious. And when it's promoted all over and gets massive numbers, this is not sour grapes. I don't care about that. I'm well beyond that. But my experience on YouTube, when something is being spammed in front of, and everyone's talking about it, and it's all over the place, controlled opposition comes to mind. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a funny point. Paul in the chat room says, off the grid, but on the internet, ? Frank Lee says, I like Oliver, although I think he needs to do research and become more educated, as we all do. I agree with that, Frank. Then we will know where he stands. Some issues you have to take a stance. Oh, I agree. And you people were saying, what does down the middle mean? Frank Lee says there is no in the middle concerning our Bill of Rights. Yeah, I don't know what he means by in the middle. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but usually when people mean in the middle, they're saying, I agree with some of what conservatives say, and I agree with some of what liberals say. But I don't know. It gets really confusing and complex and convoluted when you're talking about politics.
I don't know. I know how hard it is to get traction when you do good stuff. Sometimes things happen organic like this, but sometimes they're pushed. So I'm not accusing him of doing anything or anything like that. It was just my initial impression. You have today's live stream to change my mind. And if you change my mind, if you give me something that I didn't see or something that I missed, I will recant and see it from your perspective. But I can only speak to my initial thoughts, and that's what they were.
Did he say the controlled opposition thing in this?
Listen to it, and I just turned it on. Now, was I already biased? Maybe. Makes me suspicious.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe so, because when I automatically assume when the whole world is gushing over something, that makes me suspicious.
By the way, think about this. I was thinking about this in the gym last night. As popular as Oliver Anthony's music is, and as popular as this particular song is, and as viral as it has gone, if it's true that there are approximately 9 billion people on the planet, do you realize that as viral as it is, most people on the planet have never heard of it, have never seen this guy's face? There are people on the planet who've never heard it. As popular as they are, there are probably billions of people on the planet who have never heard of Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson, as popular as they are. So for somebody to say that, now I understand, like, we talk about majorities and minorities and stuff, but do we really know what we're talking about? I mean, I guess relatively speaking, he's more popular than most men at this present hour. But relatively speaking, you can say the same thing about wranglerstar. Listen to what he says here.
Maybe so, because when I automatically assume when the whole world is gushing over something, that makes me suspicious.
It's literally not, though. It's not even close to the whole world. Do you realize how big a number a billion is? If only 100 million, if only 500 million people have heard it, that means 8.5 billion people haven't heard it. But I understand what he's saying, so I'm not gonna be too literal on this. But you could, from my perspective, the whole world's heard of wranglerstar. So should I be suspicious of wranglerstar? I can put that in the back of my mind and go, I don't know why he's become so popular. So you add that to your basket of evidence as one piece, but you can't depend completely. You can't hang your hat completely on that one thing. Oh, he's popular, I'm going to reject him. No, it's got to be, oh, he's popular and he's parroting the same psychological operations, propaganda, mainstream, fake stream nonsense that everybody else is. Okay, that's why he's popular. Is that what Oliver Anthony's doing? Is Cody doing that? Should we disregard Cody and should we be highly critical of him because he's so much more popular? Nobody's heard of me. Tons of people have heard of wranglerstar.
And when it's promoted all over and gets massive numbers, this is not sour grapes. I don't care about that.
wranglerstar gets the standard that, here's the problem that I have with what wranglerstar is doing here. The standard that he is using, he can rightly fall by. If that's the standard we need to be using, then he falls short of the very standard that he's laid down for somebody else. And that's hypocrisy. You know what's interesting about judge not lest you be judged? In Matthew chapter 7, verses 1-6. The interesting thing about judge not lest you be judged is Jesus isn't saying don't ever use discernment and don't make judgments about anything. Just go through life willy-nilly without using your noodle and figuring, hey, is this right or is this wrong? He's not saying that. He's talking about a specific kind of judgment. He's talking about a hypocritical, pharisaical judgment, laying a standard on somebody else, because he says, judge not lest you be judged. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back onto you, buddy. Oh, you're going to condemn him for being popular? And you're going to suggest to your audience of 2.41 plus million people that he could be controlled opposition? Well, by the same standard, you could be controlled opposition. And I mean by the exact same standard. That's what baffles me about this whole thing.
Well beyond that, but my experience on YouTube, when something is being spammed in front of, and everyone's talking about it, and it's all over the place, controlled opposition comes to mind. I don't know. Well, you said it, so you must know, or you think, and you injected that thought into your mind of your audience. So what about you? I see you constantly in my recommended list, Cody. Wranglerstar, I see you constantly promoted by the YouTube algorithms in my feed. Controlled opposition? I don't know. I'm just being facetious with that. But man, come on. Seriously. With the standard you use, with the measure you use, it'll be measured to you. I don't know. I know how hard it is to get traction when you do good stuff. That's true. Sometimes things happen organic like this, but sometimes they're pushed. So I'm not. That's true. Accusing him of doing anything or anything like that. It was just my initial impression. You have today's live stream to change my mind. And if you change my mind, if you give me something that I didn't see or something that I missed, I will recant and see it from your perspective. But I can only speak to my initial thoughts, and that's what they were. Okay, here's just a couple more clips. I just don't have any faith in the system, gentlemen. I'm ahead of many people on this. Maybe this is fringe. Maybe to think all is lost. Maybe that's, you'd say, well, you've taken the black pill. I don't know that I've taken the black pill. This is just the reality. We have been living in a lie. The textbooks, what we were taught in school, do this and it'll work out, do this, it'll work out, go get a college degree, go take out student loans. This was bad information. And let's not continue with the bad information anymore. Oliver Anthony comments on your reaction video. Cody, I've spent many hours. Okay, so here is Wranglerstar commenting on Oliver Anthony's comment under Wranglerstar's reaction to Oliver Anthony's song. Oliver Anthony comments on your reaction video. Cody, I've spent many hours watching your older videos. It was part of what inspired me to sell my house, buy raw land, and start the off-grid life. And now here I am getting roasted by the man himself. I love the internet. Well, I've said what I've said, prove me otherwise. I just don't. If no one had said anything about the song, and if it hadn't have been like the big thing, I would have listened to it. It probably would have came across the feed, maybe tapped a foot. It would have been fine. It's a catchy song. It's not a bad song. It's just that I don't understand the hype. I don't understand why. I guess maybe it's frustrating for those of us that have been talking about this for a long time. Been talking about getting out of the city, getting out of the rat race, simplifying, getting yourself in a position where you have lots of flexibility. Don't tie yourself down to anything. Start getting rid of stuff. All this stuff we've been talking about here. I don't think Oliver and I have any beef whatsoever, to be honest. Okay. They don't have any. Oliver and I don't have any beef, to be honest, but he says this about Oliver Anthony. Okay, first off, so he's complaining. Now, I would expect that from a ginger, having no souls that they do. But I got no beef with him, but I'm going to engage in an ad hominem attack against him. But my hypocrisy has no limits, beloved. I don't know what else to say. I just saw that clip, and I thought I'd go ahead and play that. There seems like I'm not trying to start a fire that doesn't need to be started, but come on, man. If we start judging people by standards that we don't want to be judged by, we've actually transgressed within our own hearts the golden rule of do to others what you'd want done to you. And when that happens, society degrades. That's how we get governments. That's how we get
politicians, because politicians aren't out there doing to others what they would want done to themselves. They're writing laws against you that will take, you know what laws do? Laws serve two purposes. It transfers wealth and it diminishes rights. Every law, if you break it, it costs you something. It costs you the product of your time and labor. And number two, every law, the more laws we have, the less rights you have. The only reason we have politicians, the only reason we have Zio International Bankers is because they decided to go away from do to others what you would want done to you. They've created a world of evil based on the breaking of that one principle. That's how important the golden rule is. As a matter of fact, there is only one true principle regarding morality in the entire world. If nobody broke the golden rule, there would be no murder. Think about that. If nobody broke, people always laugh at me. They're like, you're always touting the golden rule. That's so elementary. It's so childish. Think about it. I mean, call it whatever you want to. It's called the golden rule. Do to others what you would want done to you. Conversely, don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. If nobody broke the golden rule, and that was the standard by which we judged everybody, there wouldn't be murder. There could be no rape if you didn't break the golden rule. There would be no theft. There would be no coercion. There would be no phone operator scams, because they wouldn't want that done to them. And if you say you wouldn't mind that done to you, then you're a psychopath or a freaking liar or a combination of both. Because the self-evident truth is that the most powerful moral principle in the entire world now, then, and forever into the future is do to others what you would want done to you. Don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. And if anybody breaks that or violates that principle of morality, then that person should be rightly punished. Why? Because they actually committed a crime, which means they actually left a victim, no crime. You break the golden rule on somebody, then you've entered into the crime territory and you've left a victim, and society rightly, justly punishes such a man or woman. So if we can get back to that, and it's super simple and it's super easy to explain to even a 5-year-old child, everybody understands that you're not supposed to take toys from somebody who doesn't belong to. But if you train them up saying, hey, this is the way we do, then they will have no moral compass and they'll be spun out of control and they will be perpetual criminals because they don't know the difference between right and wrong. But you do. Actually, they do know the difference between right and wrong because they don't want anybody taking their Legos from them. But they're more than willing to take their Legos from somebody else's Legos from another kid. Yeah, saying the guy is soulless is it's just so over the top, man. And I know a lot of people follow Cody Wranglerstar, and I know a lot of people follow Owen Benjamin. But come on, guys. Come on, seriously. There's so much hypocrisy here. There's so much pride. There's so much looking down on another person. And yeah, there's a place for criticism. But let's keep it objective. Let's stop calling people names. Not only is that childish, that's just like, it just seems destructive. It seems counterproductive. If you enjoy these videos, if you want to keep, if you want me to keep doing live streams, if you think what I'm saying is in accordance with truth, the only way that this channel grows, the only way this Facebook page or YouTube channel grows is if you share these videos. So if you could take a second right now, give this video a like and share it with somebody you think could benefit from it. I personally have nothing against Cody. I've got nothing against Oliver Anthony. And I admit to you, I don't know exactly what's going on here. I could be completely being duped. But I do know that none of us is greater than all of us. And I do know there's a lot smarter people out there who can speak into my life and go, dude, I think you're on the wrong road here. And here's why I think you are. I think you're speaking out of turn. I think you're on a subjective tightrope. I think you're out on a limb. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And here's why. Boom, 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 and boom. And then I'll consider it. But this, oh, you're a freaking soulless, wild-eyed, dead-eyed ginger. That's all you is. You just a backwoods. It's like, all right, come at me with some substance here. Come at me with some substance. Rights are self-evident. I follow him. Bad look here for sure. And I am not asking anybody to unfollow Cody because of what he said about Oliver. Not at all. And I know, a lot of people were really unhappy with what he said, and rightly so, because there's really no substantiation for why he said it. And it just seems haughty. Pride goes before destruction. And we've seen this many times, haughty spirit before a fall. He might become more popular in this, but it's not about popularity. It's not about how much money you got in your pocket or your bank account. It's not the kind of house you live in or the car you got parked in your garage. The bottom line is, what kind of name do you have? What kind of name do you want to leave for your kids? What kind of person are you? It's going to be shown with your actions. So if you guys can hit the share button right now, hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. If you want, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon. Join me on my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. This is my website right here. And on the right-hand side, by the way, I tried to make this useful for people who want to come here. It's got the national debt clock, silver and gold spot price, Venture Skies, and actually, it's a pretty neat thing. Fat loss calculator, moon phases. You know what? I should do just a separate video on what I've got on my channel. I'll try to expand it out. It just takes time, and I use a lot of my time to do research so I can do videos so that I can try to make a positive effect in this world, because that's really what I'm on the internet for. So what you do is you just put your first name, email address, and then you hit the subscribe button, and then you'll get an immediate email, which you have to verify, because it's basically a two-part opt-in, and because I don't want bots, on my email list. And I say that I hate spam and I will always protect your privacy. I'm the world's worst at sending out emails, but I will send out emails letting you guys know about the latest videos that I've produced, because even if you subscribe to my YouTube channel or Facebook page and hit the bell notification icon, a lot of people don't get a notification. They don't get a notification when I go live. I can barely get 50 people in a room when I do a live stream. It's a little bit better on YouTube, but not much. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you joining, and I will see you in the next live stream. Take care.